This is another thing, though, that I think that people just really don't get, is they're so convinced that this life is all that there is, and nobody's watching. If you get away with it and there's not CCTV, or, everybody turns around like, did anybody see that? Okay, there's beings all around you, and your soul saw. There's nothing you can get away with, nothing at all. And my daughter and I are watching this show. She's watched it before, and she wanted me to watch it because it's so boring. Like, oh, it's so boring. So we're watching this show called Search Party, and it's really good. It's so much different than what I was thinking it was going to be. I really, really like it a lot. I think it's off of TNT, but we're watching it on Hulu. It's like 4 seasons. But the thing that I really like what's going on right now is people that have gotten themselves into a situation, they just keep digging in deeper and deeper and deeper. They think that they can get away with something. They think that that's possible to get away with something. The worst crime possible, the one that I always talk about, is the worst that you shouldn't be doing. That people get caught up in these life after life, murdering one another and stuff. And they just get caught in these cycles. And that's when I'm watching this, that's what I keep on thinking. But it's a show, so it's not real. So it's not a real cycle that they're caught in. But it just reminds me of that, of like, what's the story of these souls behind this story that we're watching right now that has them trapped in this? The scenario that they are playing over and over and over and over. And because a lot of things like murders and suicides and stuff like that, a lot of that is just this people trapped in this these relationships that they don't know how to, it's like, in this life, you murdered me, so I'm come back and murder you. Like that tension, and you have these people in your life and you don't even realize, like, why is it so tense? Every time I'm around them, I just want to strangle them. That is, karmic attachments. That's past life, life is way beyond what this is. But it's very interesting because these people think like, oh, well, if we just cover up our crime, we got away with it. No, you can't get. And one thing too is Edgar Allan Poe, he really brought that home to me, and Rod Serling. If I was going to say that, I had some God as a child, it would have been Rod Serling. He was just, he would show things. It was just like, oh, yes. He showed so much in his shows about the nature of humanity. And he really brings home a lot of concepts. So it's really a good show. If you've never watched it, go in and watch it now. I don't know what it would be like now at this time of the world, what you've experienced to watch it for the first time. But I know as a child, when it was new and I was new, it was a lot of profound teachings. He definitely, I learned a lot from him. And the people who think like there's nobody watching, I can just do whatever. And Edgar Allan Poe, I loved how whatever you did, it becomes bigger and bigger. Like when that one, I can't think of what it was. The guy killed somebody and he buried him. Was it in the floor or in the wall? Might have been in the book in the floor and in the movie in the wall. I can't remember, and it might be more than he did stories where it was your I want to say you are your worst enemy, but you are your own like a signal to what you've done. But he he thought he could hear like the dead guy. It would get louder and louder, and he started thinking everybody could hear him. But that's what like all the time when these people are being haunted, when in movies when they kill somebody and they're being haunted, and that person keeps showing up, that is real. You can't get that. You can't get away from that. You've attached yourself with this person. So yeah, they can keep coming back. They're going to keep coming back in here no matter what. You're not going to be able to get away with that. You can't escape yourself. And so, and then when you die and you go and you see what you really caused, like you've got all this stuff, you got to go in and clean up this, you got to clean up that. It's like you die from life, and you know, they always say, well, you can't take it with you. Well, you take a lot of stuff with you, stuff that you don't want to take with you. Yeah, we'd all like to just fill our pockets like, oh, you know, be rich in the next one, and just take this. You're going to take how you treated others, you're going to take that, and that is, if you treated people bad, it's going to be very, very heavy. If you did crimes, if you did things against people, and you didn't have an opportunity to go in and start cleaning it up, that's a lot of stuff to take on, because then you've got to do lives to go in and clean that stuff up. You got to go back in and clean it up, and you can't get away with it. When you go, it is like when you cross over, every single person knows what you did. They're all watching you all the time. Anybody can come in and out watching. You can go, and remember, they're not dealing with time. So, you know, they could go live a whole freaking lifetime while you're asleep, and then be right there for the show the next morning, especially if you are in the midst of having a lot of dark energy around you, and you are doing a lot of really bad stuff. You know, I just keep thinking about the shit that's going on in the inner city, and I'm sure it's going on in different suburban areas. It's going on all over the planet, but the only thing you see is the footage of, and now, I mean, are we even really seeing any footage? I mean, who knows? Even when they're showing the stuff with they've been caught lying so many times. It's like, you can't believe anything on there. It's all an illusion. Whatever's on that screen is an illusion, and it's always there to set a narrative. It's got an agenda, and it's always there to indoctrinate you and program you to what they want you to believe. So it's lie after lie after lie. But so it's hard to know, like, what is really happening. But, you know, when you're hearing in Chicago, a couple hundred people dying every weekend, in New York, and we know that these, you know, rioters are, because we're trying to shame all the regular human beings out here, that we're the racist ones. Like, you know, what can we do? Oh, what? Some racist guy's going to call somebody the N-word in a place and look like a fool? Like, I mean, the real problem is the government is racist. They are doing these things to destroy minorities. That's the part, you know, where it creeps me out a lot about being white. Is like, when you start thinking about these controllers wanting, well, they like the melanin blood. That they like that better because it is more pure. I mean, and you know, I don't know what all we're used for, but it kind of creeps me out when you know that, like, Hitler worked for these people too, and like that agenda, and then the color. I don't know. There's something weird, but we know that they only want to use those people for one thing, and otherwise, you know, they would take everybody who has any melanin in their skin and trap them in a prison, and then just turn on a faucet. And but you know what they would have to do is, you know, traumatize them all the time. But and they do all the time. They traumatize people in the inner cities. So what's going on right now when people's babies are being shot? And I mean, can you imagine living like that? And people want to talk about entitlement and stuff like that. Like, the traumas these people are going through is so far beyond, you know, being pulled over by the police all the time. But that's part of their whole system anyways, you know. They, you know, it doesn't have to do with us being racist. That's not the problem. It's the government. They are the ones. And so these battles that are going on in these inner cities, and the people, what people are doing to survive, but some of them are caught up. They're caught up in that evil, and they are tapped in. You know, they've got a lot of voices coming in, and they get confused. They think it's them. They think that that's who they are. So those voices coming in are really guiding people to do some negative stuff. And each thing is its own individual thing. Like, you can't just, generalize all those guys, they'll all have the same problem. No, every individual soul will have a different experience, a different thing that they will have to go up, see what they did, learn from it. Any of the stuff that they did that hurt other people is all got to, it's got to go into your bank of how you're going to figure out your next lives, what you're going to do. And all things have already happened. So it just starts getting trippier and trippier and trippier. But all that stuff, that is our real life. Everything that they try and tell us about this three-dimensional existence to keep us focused on that is only to keep you enslaved. It's only to prevent you from learning who and what you are so you can live as a free soul. So all of this stuff is trying to prevent you from being who you really are and trying to convince you that you are what they think you are. But, no matter what, when you go, any bad thing that somebody does, like if somebody thinks, like these skeezy guys say, and they go in and they think like they can, manipulate a young girl to go perform situation on them, then when you cross over, depending on your intent, I mean, if you just really were in love with this person, you were so connected, and they were too, and you weren't manipulating them, and, it was this honest, real thing, but it's unlikely. Mostly it will be, you will have a karmic debt for where the manipulation, for the, stepping over someone else's free will. And also you are, I don't even know all the things, but you will also have, you come out of there, when you die, you will face the people you don't want to face for the acts that you have done. And, if that makes sense. It's not like you're going to go and you're going to be judged in the way that you think. Like, you will be judging yourself, but the humiliation that your soul feels when it has done something disgusting and you are in the other side, it is, that's the motivator. It's the motivator why people go back and back and back, and why people, even, and I had just heard that David Allen Steele died. I didn't even know. I mean, I wasn't one of his people. I was, followed Charlie, but Charlie knew him, and Simon, because all these people started knowing each other who, had intel and were involved. I don't know. So I had seen him on that a few times, talking in those kind of groups. And so I know who he was, but oh my gosh, yeah, that was a creepy, tragic story. But there, you definitely cannot trust. Like, I'm kind of freaked out that I'm supposed to go to court in a couple of weeks. It's like, oh my God, as soon as I step in, are they going to come up with any old thing to make me stay? I don't know. I feel under attack just with these high-pitched frequencies that keep coming. And I keep thinking it's got to be certain frequency that people are at, resonance and stuff, that they're hitting that with this, because so many people can't hear it, and it's treacherous. It's treacherous. It goes in it, and it's so loud you can't hear anything else, and it'll go across your head and come out the other. It's really, really harsh. These frequencies that are, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Well, I mean, I know what's going on, but I can't explain it to the depth where people would want to have their understanding if they don't have a clue. You know what I mean? Because this is a lot more complex. And if you're just waking up to the three-dimensional reality, you have to go out beyond that. That's where people are saying this stuff going on is biblical. It's beyond this three-dimensional. We're fighting over this three-dimensional existence. So it's got the war is being fought outside of the three-dimensional because we're fighting for that. We are leaving it. They're trying to hold us. They are holding on to that because they have enslaved people. They've got them enslaved. And I do, that the more I think about it, the more I do think there's got to be something to the reincarnation trap that they've created here. Is why there's so many souls that have come in to help break this system down and help souls break free from it. It's pretty intense, and I want to talk about that real quick, so I'll be right back.